Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are gonna do my June reading wrap up. There's not much else to it. Let's get started. So the first book I read in June was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I talked about this. I actually did a full series review, which message received. You guys did not want to watch that video at all. So I won't be doing full series reviews like that ever again. Yeah, message received on that one. So I really liked it. It's the story of Kel, who can travel between four different Londons, four parallel Londons. He is officially an ambassador for the Crown of Red London. Unofficially, he's a smuggler. When a trade goes awry, he goes on a magical adventure with Delilah Bard. It's a fun little story, so I really enjoyed the first one. I'll talk about my rating for the whole series towards the end, or you can go watch the video from a couple weeks ago. But I started rating like books that I feel very middle of the road about on the escape system, which stands for, let me pull it up. It stands for ending, style / pace of writing, characters, atmosphere and world building, plot, and overall enjoyment. So I started doing that on books that I know I don't really feel like 5 stars about, because you know when you read a 5-star book, you just do. So I started using that, and I really like doing that for my reading. And so I think I ended up giving it 44 overall points, which translates to a 4-star read, because I did really enjoy it. I think it's a really fun story. The next book I read was an audiobook, and I've talked about this in like the last 3 videos. It was The Lost Queen by Signe Pike, 6th century Scotland, Christianity sweeping through Scotland, wiping out Celtic polytheism. It's also kind of, I never mentioned this in my other one, but the Langorth, the Lost Queen, her brother is loosely based on the Druid who Merlin is based off of in Arthurian legend. So that's really cool. And that's what the second one's gonna be about, which I haven't bought or like delved into yet, but it's really cool. It's kind of like Arthurian tales meets history meets Brave, but less I turned my mom into a bear. Let me do that again. I turned my mom into a bear, and more I am Merida and I'll be shooting for my own hand, like that kind of thing. Also, if you had a chance to change your fate, would ya? Like it's more that sense with Brave. She's also, the main character's got that long red curly hair that, oh, I want so bad for myself. After that, I read A Gathering of Shadows. This is the second book in the Shades of Magic series. This one, it just suffers from middle book syndrome just a little bit. I enjoyed it way less than the first one, and it's just because one major plot point. I don't like magic competitions. They just bring everything like character development, plot to a grinding halt, and it's very action focused, and I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing. It wasn't poorly written. It's just like kind of meh. It's a good thing I like Kel and Lila so much, or else I would have like just been like, I don't want to finish this series. And it's a shame, because it's like they're really good characters, which again is why I continued reading. So this one I gave like 3 stars, 3.5, because when Kel and Lila are on the page together, yes, it's all I ever want. And I'm very excited for the fact that V.E. Schwab is writing another series arc for this series with these characters, but like it's the first 3, and then that's one story, and then it's gonna be the next 3, and that's another story. Which brings me to the final book in this arc, which is A Conjuring of Light. This one is like, it's the big epic battle book. It's the conclusion. I love a good conclusion. I absolutely loved the romance in this one. It was so good. This is my favorite book in the series. Like the first 2, it's like watching Pirates of the Caribbean, how like the first one and the third one are fantastic, but the middle one, you're just kind of like, I guess I'll get through it. That's how I feel about this series. And like I said, for like the 3rd time now, Kel and Lila are spot on. And V.E. Schwab, I think her writing has improved greatly since the release of this book, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And so I'm really excited to see what she does with these characters that just are so well loved and like really good bones to them. So yeah, but I did enjoy it. I do recommend it. I also think it would make a really good animated TV show. Again, all of this information is in the video I posted last week or a couple weeks ago if you're looking for more information on the series. No spoilers in that video. Then I listened to a very sad audiobook. This was my Pride Month pick. Why did I pick a sad one? It was short. It was like a 6-hour audiobook, and I was like, let's read something a little heavier. This is called Orpheus Girl. It's the story of a young girl who grew up in a very religious, very conservative town in Texas. She lives with her grandmother, and her grandmother finds out that she's a lesbian and sends her off to a conversion therapy camp where they use shock on them to convert them. Check other trigger warnings on this book. It has a lot. I'm not even gonna, it's so hard to say. There are suicide attempts, suicidal ideations, like I said, shock therapy, and just the worst things you can imagine that happens at these places happens. So it was very heavy. But the interesting catch about it, the reason I picked it up, I think I've mentioned a billion times, I love Greek mythology, and so each character is representative of a different character in Greek mythology. Obviously the main character is Orpheus. The idea behind that is that Orpheus, is going to save the woman that she loves from this camp, and they're going to return to the world of the living. That's the idea behind it. And I would say that for as sad as this book is, there's this one character whose name I can't remember, that he's so funny and so full of hope and love, and I really actually did enjoy it. It's a great read. It is heavy, but it's short, so it's easier to get through. Yeah, that was my Pride Month pick, and I picked one of the saddest things I could ever hear, but yeah, I like I said, I enjoyed it. The next one, I needed something so light and so dumb because it was weighing heavily on my heart. The next one I picked up is Act Your Age, Evie Brown. This is the final book in the Brown Sisters trilogy. This is about the youngest one, Evie. What can I say? I like all three of these books. The first one is my favorite because I relate to Chloe the most. Evie is a really fun, they refer to her as a certified hot mess. She's kind of like a whirlwind person, and it's a grumpy sunshine trope. I related to the man Jacob because as a grumpus myself, it was just really fun. But also this has autistic representation in it, and I think it's so cute. If you see a cartoon cover and you're like, I hate these covers, they're so dumb, I agree. They look really cheesy, and they are, because they're rom-coms. I find that they're just the best cure for heavy reading, and they're just fun and sweet, and I can't recommend them enough. I also like that these are romances, but they're subtle romances. I don't necessarily want to read a romance with a naked man on the cover. As someone who doesn't own a Kindle, I like this. It's, like I said, subtlety is key when reading romance for me. There's no shame in my game, but I like to be discreet in public settings because I don't want to answer questions ever. So that's why. Next is my 5-star read of the year. One more year. This is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I got the dust jacket wet. Don't at me. I'm very upset about it. This is the story of Addie LaRue. She makes a Faustian deal with a demon in 1700s France because she does not want to live the life of a mother and a wife. So she makes a deal that she wants to essentially live forever, or she doesn't want that life. So she sells her soul to this demon. He instead curses her to live forever, or as long as, or basically, what is it? Addie says, you can have my soul when I'm done with it. And he curses her to basically, you can live as long as you want, but no one will remember you. If someone were to have a conversation with Addie and then turn around or be distracted by a bird, they would immediately forget who she is. And so it's not until 300 years later that Addie meets Henry and he remembers her. It's very interesting. It sounds like, oh, it's a silly little love story and the time traveler's wife, and to an extent it is. But I found that this book actually is more so about you keep finding the little things in life that bring you joy and finding life worth living. It's much more about mental health than it is a romance or a deal with a demon or anything like that. I really like a lot of the imagery of this when it comes to representing mental health, and they refer to it as a storm passing, and as someone who suffers through mental health storms, I really liked that. That's the best way to describe it. I'm going to be okay. This is just a storm and it's gonna pass. I can't say enough good things about it. I will end up spoiling it if I keep talking about it, but just go read it. It's there's a lot of art history history in it as well. And it's just beautiful. Go pick it up. A lot of the descriptions made it feel a lot like my favorite book, which is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I talk about it all the time. Yeah, between like the historical elements in this book and Night Circus and a little bit of the magical like love story, it was just good. It's just good. Go pick it up, because it's a book where it seems like it's about one thing, but it's about another. So yes. The next book, it's another rom-com, because Emily Henry is my favorite rom-com author of all time. I loved Beach Read. It actually leaned a little bit more literary fiction. Beach Read did. Her second rom-com was People We Meet on Vacation. That one was very mid. It was just, it's tropes that I don't like, and it had a character I didn't like, so it didn't really stick with me. But then this one, Book Lovers, oh my god, it spoke to my soul in every way. The main character, Nora, I could relate to. She's an older sister. A lot of the book is about actually the relationship she has with her younger sister, Libby. The trope that this book operates on is working woman goes to small town, falls in love. Sounds awful, sounds like Hallmark movies. I hate those movies because usually the woman ends up compromising herself in any way. Not like that. Emily Henry took the trope, turned it on its head. It's fantastic. I like that this was about sisters as much as it was a rom-com, and that's something Emily Henry does so well, is making her rom-coms have weight to them and like real life applications. Like they feel like they could be real love stories, and there are happy endings, and she's just good. This is also the first book that I ever started to tab. Like you can see all of the pages, can't see pages that I've marked with parts that like had emotional weight or were romance, or were like super romance heavy, or like fluffy, or they were funny, or just anything that I related to. So you can see all of that. It's actually a lot easier to rate books when you do that too, because you can go back and look at certain points and be like, ah yes, that's how I felt about that. Another 5-star read. I loved this book. This is the last book I read this month, and I am currently in the middle of 2 books, neither of which I have wanted to read, and that's not necessarily a mark on their writing, it's just my mental state. I got 14 days before I move, and the world is falling apart. So, the 2 books I'm in the middle of, the first one is an audiobook, and it's called Kids These Days, The Making of Millennials and Human Capital. A little heavy, it's a bit much. It's also one that as I'm reading it, because I want to be able to recommend it to people who maybe don't understand my point of view. And I'm a very passionate person, so when I talk about things, I'm not very eloquent about it. I want to point them to this book and be like, maybe you'll understand what I'm trying to say with someone who is an actual author, because I don't necessarily feel like I need it to like learn something about myself, because I've lived it my entire life. I just want to have the factual backup to it. You know what I mean? But I'm having trouble listening to it because, like I said, the world is falling apart and I'm living it every day. I don't need it drilled into my head more, but I gotta get through that. And then the next one I'm reading is another fantasy. Olivia, isn't that escapism? Yes, but it's very dense. So this is The Priory of the Orange Tree. This is very Game of Thronesy, which I guess is just typical fantasy. Like, I don't know why Game of Thrones became the go-to, even though it already feels super dated. There are multiple video essays about why Game of Thrones is already dated and it stopped 3 years ago. Anyway, not the point. The story is East versus West. Do I switch those? Might be weird. Anyway, East versus West, 2 kingdoms, but there are 2 queens. It is also a sapphic love story, which is really nice, and I heard a lot of great things about it. No one told me how dense it was, though. There's a lot of information, a lot of world building in this, and I'm just trying to keep things straight in my head at this point. I'm only like 50 pages into it. Actually, I'm 40 pages into it. So I'm sure it'll get better once I actually get into the meat of it. I just haven't really wanted to read a whole lot recently because, like I said, my brain is a little stormy. There's also dragons, so you know, that's exciting. But this puppy is dense. Actually, I've read thicker books. This is 840 pages. Kingdom of Ash, which I read last month, is 980, so it's just a matter of denser writing, not necessarily page count. Also, why is the binding like a Bible? Like, this is a lot. So yeah, that's where I'm currently at reading wise. Like I said, 14 days to move. So actually, by the time this video goes up, I believe it will be the 4th. What day does this video go up? Let's see. Or is it the 5th? This video, so it's currently July 5th when you're watching this. My birthday is the 6th, which is tomorrow, so I definitely won't be making any video that week. And then the week of the 11th to the 15th, that's the week that I'm actually like moving, and I will be making videos during that week. So yes, very busy, all good things though, but I'll be gone for 2 weeks. If you wish to keep up with me, you can follow me on my Instagram at Olivia's Awkward. It's linked in the description, or just go on the Instagram app and search me up, I'm there. And then if you wish to see more videos from me, click the subscribe button. Leave a comment telling me if you've read any of these books. Are you interested in any of these books? And that's pretty much it. So I will see you all next time, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.